3, 2, 1.
Night was falling, but our farm was still not quiet for a second. For a whole week, the wild boars had turned this area into a battlefield. Every night, they came and brazenly destroyed everything without any hesitation. Although we set traps, built fences, and even used headlights to illuminate the area, it was all in vain. They were becoming more and more rampant, and their numbers seemed to be increasing. To end this threat, we could not compromise any longer. The field was covered in darkness, but through the thermal scope, everything was clear down to the smallest detail. We spotted our first target as soon as we got into position. The first shot rang out. The battle officially began. It was only about 9 p.m. There weren't many wild boars. The guns were loaded. We pulled the trigger without hesitation, taking down each target. Adjusting the scope, it was a herd of wild boars. There were a few adults, the rest were all small wild boars. And our target was definitely the leader wild boar. The moon was high, its pale light reflecting each shadow. The pigs had no idea that they had entered the firing range. This time, we chose a different tactic, spread out in many directions and surrounded. When everyone was in position, a series of gunshots rang out. One shot, one kill. About 500 m further, we suddenly discovered 5 pigs digging in the middle of the open ground. Here it is. The wild boar collapsed on the spot. The remaining ones panicked and rushed away, quickly disappearing from sight. Wild boars are very greedy, so in order to lure them, in the afternoon, we placed a feeding trough at the hunting site. Now we will go there to check. This method is really effective and helps the search not take too much time. Like last time, we will prioritize taking down the adults first, because their destructive power and reproduction are too terrible. Then the smaller individuals. Make sure not to miss any targets. It's already late at night. We get closer, but this time, the pigs are much more cunning. There is no other way, we can only hide and wait for the right opportunity. As the pigs gradually lose their vigilance, the sound of gunfire continues. With just one shot, all of them lie motionless. The clock was almost 3 a.m. The field in front of us shook slightly, Rustling sounds rang out in the dark. It was a wild boar. This time, we chose to snap. Some individuals ran straight towards the forest, but they were too late. One collapsed right in the field, while the others only ran a few meters before being taken down. Although we were tired, the result was very satisfying. We returned to the starting point. After a sleepless night, we stood looking at the spoils, our hearts filled with satisfaction. The farm had been saved. The short days in Greece have given me countless unforgettable experiences. One of them is the wild boar hunting trip in the Erymanthus Mountains in the freezing winter. Here, natural predators are becoming increasingly rare, causing the wild boar population to grow uncontrollably. I, along with a few friends, set out on this hunting trip. From this experience, I understood why the Greeks still keep the tradition of wild boar hunting as an integral part of their life. After a simple breakfast, we sat in the familiar vehicle and headed towards the Erymanthus Mountains in western Peloponnese. It was the wild boar mating season, so they were moving around more, providing favorable conditions for hunting. Thanks to the snow, we could easily track the boars' whereabouts. I closely followed their tracks, moving quickly as a feeling told me the prey was very near. And sure enough, a dark shape came rushing down from the opposite mountain slope. I fired in time, one clean shot. The boar fell and slid down the slope. However, I moved closer and fired another shot because, in the forest, certainty is always the most reliable companion. Not far from me, Gilbert was also in position, continuously firing when a whole herd of wild boars appeared unexpectedly. However, the boars weren't easy to handle. They ran like the wind, weaving through thick tree trunks in a maze-like manner. Even though Gilbert tried to stay close, it was really difficult to aim under these conditions, and in the blink of an eye, the entire herd vanished from sight as quickly as they had appeared. After about half an hour of moving, we had reached near the summit of the mountain. While still on the move, Gilbert and I noticed unusual movements from the trees beside us. Hunting instinct urged me to immediately raise my rifle and squeeze the trigger before the wild boar disappeared into the brush. And with just one shot, the target was neatly taken down. A quick, efficient shot, just the way I like it. Upon reaching the mountaintop, the air became even colder, and the snow beneath our feet grew thicker, but the sound of barking dogs echoed like a reminder that we couldn't stop. In the blink of an eye, a dark figure suddenly appeared. Gilbert steadied his rifle and fired a decisive shot. With the close distance, this time the boar couldn't escape. The race with the wild boars became more intense than ever before. Seizing every moment and every opportunity, we continued our hunt that afternoon. The hounds remained by our side, helping the team locate new targets. The snowstorm thickened, and we had to move down for safety. We set up a temporary small tent, and I sat waiting for my teammates to return. While sitting alone in the silence, the sound of the hounds and gunshots from afar woke me up to immediately raise my rifle. I aimed and fired decisively. The boar collapsed in the midst of the heavy snowfall. I had completed an unexpected hunt. The rain stopped, and under the gloomy sky, I still pressed on, looking for the last targets of the day. Hiding behind some wild branches, I silently observed the wild boar's movements. Waiting for it to reach the right position, I gently raised my rifle and took a decisive shot to end the chase. After the shot rang out, the wild boar fell, marking the end of this challenging hunting trip. The challenges we faced throughout the journey were not only about hunting, but also lessons in patience and determination. Thank you for joining us on this trip. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel.
I've hunted in many places from the misty forests of Normandy to the vast cornfields of Iowa, but nowhere has stirred my emotions quite like the southwest of France, especially among the long-abandoned vineyards. This region has become a haven for wild boars, drawn by the abundant food supply. Of course, hunting wild boars here isn't about sport, it's about survival. Local farmers have lived in fear for years, as these animals have destroyed large portions of their farms. As the sun rose over the vast open fields, we spread out in different directions to track and hunt wild boars. Thanks to the flat terrain, we use motorbikes to move swiftly during the hunt. Suddenly, a massive wild boar appeared. Without time to think, we raised our rifles and fired. The boar dropped instantly after a single shot. My heart was pounding not out of fear, but from adrenaline and the thrill of victory. But we didn't stop there. We jumped into the buggy and raced across the green fields. The roar of the engine mixed with the grunts of fleeing boars. We quickly reloaded and fired again. Even though wild boars are incredibly fast, They were no match for the speed of the buggy or the precision of our bullets. Another wild boar appeared, and once again, we took careful aim and brought it down with precision. These boars were likely the very ones that had ravaged our farms. If they aren't dealt with, farmers won't be able to plant a single seed in these fields because the boars will destroy everything, even the seedlings, before they have a chance to grow. After our lunch break, we continued the hunt in the southern forest edge that afternoon, a place where green grasslands intertwine with dense shrubs. While lying in ambush, we heard rustling in the bushes. Then a wild boar emerged. We quickly raised our rifles and took it down with a precise shot. It dropped instantly from a clean, fatal hit. Every time a boar appeared, I fired without hesitation because the local farmers are counting on us. They've placed all their hopes in our hands, trusting that we'll help them eliminate these destructive creatures. Our journey continued throughout the afternoon. We knew that most of the wild boars were hiding in this area, only venturing out when searching for food, often near the surrounding farm. Within just a few hours, several wild boars appeared within my sights. We ventured deep into the mountains to hunt wild boars, a mix of excitement and tension filling the air as we entered their stronghold, eager to take down even more. We carefully examined the tracks they left on the ground, hoping to determine their direction of movement. Wasting no time, my team and I opened fire. We gathered our hard-earned trophies with satisfaction. By late afternoon, we had planned to wrap up the hunt. But then a report came through the radio. A massive herd of wild boars was tearing up a harvested cornfield. We rushed to the location and saw the boars charging out from the bushes. One by one, we took them down, determined not to let a single one escape. Hunting wild boars demands patience and persistence you can't give up. And this is our result. One massive wild boar. All the wild boars we hunted were gathered in one spot and loaded onto the truck. Once everything was secured, we drove back to the gathering camp where everyone shared food, drinks, and plenty of laughter. I could genuinely feel the warmth and friendliness of the group. This hunting trip in the southwest of France taught me far more than I expected, not just about shooting techniques, but about patience, observation, the rhythm of the wild, and the culture of the region. Have you ever faced a life or death encounter with a giant and ferocious wild boar? I did. It was a moment that I often call a life or death encounter between man and wild animal. The story takes place in a dense forest in the Ardan region in the northeast of France. I went with Pierre and Laurent, two close friends and well-known marksmen in the local hunting club. We were told by veteran hunters that there was an unusually large wild boar, estimated to be over 150 kilograms, that was constantly attacking the local farmers' pastures, digging and destroying fences. Several hunters tried, but the animal always disappeared like a ghost in the dense forest. Our hunting party had more than 20 people, divided into small groups to search for wild boar in different directions. Pierre and Laurent, I headed southwest, where the forest was deep and dense. Suddenly, a roar echoed from ahead. Not a single one, but a whole pack. The hounds rushed forward, howling urgently. Pierre whispered, "Here it is. Get ready." We slowly approached and opened fire. Loud explosions mingled with the barking of the dogs. The boar was hit and rolled down the slope. After killing a wild boar, we felt motivated again. The team continued to search for traces of wild boars. The deeper we went, the more humid the forest smelled. The fallen leaves partly concealed the footprints of wild boars. Therefore, the search became more difficult. As Laurent was hesitantly moving to another area, we heard rustling not far away. We breathed lightly, held our guns firmly, and moved slowly. After a while, we spotted a wild boar moving through the trees. Quickly, Laurent took aim and successfully killed it with one shot. At noon, after an hour of rest to regain strength, although everyone was exhausted, no one gave up. While resting at the edge of the forest, we heard the barking of dogs again, along with the sound of hurried footsteps as if being chased. Pierre and I quickly held our guns firmly and pulled the trigger. The big wild boar collapsed on the spot. The others ran away into the forest. We quickly chased after them, determined not to let any wild boar escape. With great speed, this wild boar ran away into a dense area with many very tall trees. From a good position, we opened fire on it, but the boar was not hit. It managed to escape our sight. It is undeniable that wild boars are becoming more intelligent. Perhaps they have developed an instinct to avoid danger. However, what we fear is not their escape, but the possibility of their return. The wild boars that are not exterminated will certainly return in the future and continue to destroy the farm, causing much more serious damage. In the afternoon, we moved towards the edge of the forest, where the farm bordered, to gather our spoils. It seemed that we would not be able to harvest any more wild boars, but our pack of dogs discovered their tracks. After a while of chasing, we discovered a herd of wild boars, all of them large in size. Perhaps because they sensed danger, they ran very fast. We shot continuously and killed several wild boars. By the end of the day, we had killed dozens of wild boars. Some were downed with a single shot. Laurent said that shooting quickly was a natural respect we had for them.
Overnight, the land was plowed up, crops were devastated, and destruction was all that remained. There was no doubt a herd of wild boars had invaded this area. We immediately set out, tracking their traces to stop their rampage before it was too late. But wild boars are not easy prey. They are fast, elusive, and ready to fight back. Will we be able to reach them and take control in time? Stay tuned until the end to witness this intense chase. Wild boars are not just rapid breeders, leading to uncontrolled population surges, but they also possess terrifying natural weapons, their razor-sharp tusks. Their tusks never stop growing throughout their lives, and in males, they can reach up to 15 centimeters in length. They use these formidable weapons to dig up soil and destroy farmers' crops. That is why we cannot stand idly by. Arriving in Isparta, the city of roses in Turkey during this season, one is greeted with breathtaking scenery. Towering mountain ranges shrouded in mist, fresh and cool air, all of these create the perfect setting for an exciting and unpredictable hunting trip. Something just moved in the bushes. Oh, our first target has appeared. A precise shot rings out. The bullet cuts through the air, hitting straight for the wild boar. For the hunting dogs, this marks the grand feast that kicks off today's hunt. The thrill doesn't end there. We quickly spot two more wild boars hiding nearby. Gunshots echo once again, and in mere moments, both targets are taken down. The hunt is going smoothly, but is this the end or just the beginning? Stay tuned. With the goal of protecting the locals from the dangers of wild boars, we push forward, racing for new challenges ahead. Before us lies a dense cornfield, an ideal hiding place for wild boars. Finding them is no easy task, but the hunting dogs are already on high alert. They dash forward, sniffing out their targets and forcing them into the open. A shadow dashes out from the cornfield, but it's not that simple. It's fast, cunning, and constantly evading our aim. We have to make split-second adjustments. Shots fire repeatedly, and after a heart-pounding chase, the beast finally falls. The hunt continues as we press on into a new territory, a vast expanse of tall reeds towering over our heads. This is a paradise for wild boars, providing perfect cover for them to evade detection. But today, luck is not on their side. A quick scan, and we anticipate their path in no time. A gunshot cracks through the air. But it's not over yet. Don't be fooled. One shot is rarely enough to bring down a full-grown wild boar. Another boar has been flushed out, dashing madly for an escape route. But before it can get away, a perfectly timed shot. Dust and dirt explode into the air. Wild boars are not only ferocious, but also remarkably intelligent, comparable to dogs and even some primates. They have an incredible ability to avoid traps, sense danger, and strategically escape. Especially in these vast cornfields, they can vanish in an instant, making them incredibly difficult to track. But this time, there is no escape. We've set up everything, our weapons are primed, every route is blocked. Once they're in our sights, there's no way out. Wild boars can run at speeds of 40, 50 kilometers h and change direction in a split second, turning them into ghosts of the wilderness. But today, they are not the hunters, they are the prey. A bullet from a hunting rifle travels at 800 kilometers h, 16 times faster than their top speed. They don't stand a chance. One by one, their dark figures collapse in the smoke and dust. Amidst the vast, rugged mountains, the silence is almost ominous, as if foreshadowing the thrilling encounter ahead. The chase is on. The hunting dogs surround and corner the wild boar, but don't assume this is the end. A stream lies ahead. Without hesitation, the boar plunges into the water, swimming away effortlessly. And then, a shot rings out. The chase has reached its inevitable conclusion. What do you think about this adventure? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more intense hunting action.